To kick off our conversation, what's the craziest thing that's happened to you in the context of this quarantine?
I have to share my story. And my story is I'm 99% positive that I've got COVID-19.
And you're laughing.
And I'm laughing about it. Yeah, because I guess I'm very fortunate because I'm a very healthy person. And so my symptoms have been extremely mild. And I got tested yesterday, but they won't give me the results until May 5th. Because I guess there's so many people being tested now that, they're all backed up. And so by the time I will get tested, or I will get my results, I'm going to be 3 days from being immune to it. So it's almost like, what is that for? But I guess I just need to know and make sure and notify the people that I may have been in contact with, which is just one person. So I don't know. It's that's my story. That's crazy, but it happened with all the precautions and everything, but it happened. Yeah.
You're rolling with it. Yeah. One day at a time. Who else? What's your quarantine experience?
Yeah. Excuse me. I guess mine. I started working from home 2 months ago, and the business where my wife was working, they shut down for about a month and a half. And so during that time, it was the most that we'd spent that much time together in over 45 years. Because I was working, 14 to 20 hours a day, 6 days a week, most of my life. And then suddenly here we are together. What are you doing here? I'm used to being by myself. But now we're just spending hours at a time together. So it's been good just to get kind of reacquainted with each other and just having some fun times. So that was unusual for us.
Togetherness.
Yeah.
A wonderful benefit.
Yeah.
Who else? What has your experience been?
Well, this is Rachel. Kind of similar, where actually I was used to working from remotely for a long time, and all of a sudden my husband's working from home, so we're having to carry our laptops back and forth from the office. So like today, I'm not able to be in a room with good lighting or anything like that. So it's like I can't put my camera on, and, so we're kind of picking up our laptops, and it's like, okay, in 1 hour I need the office, so we're going back and forth. So that's been a little. So I hope he gets back into an office soon.
It is a whole different dynamic when all of a sudden you have new office mates and figuring out the routines so everyone can get done what they need to without it colliding with each other. It's like we've randomly been picked up and dropped into a whole different work environment.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? What's your experience been?
This is Paula. I don't know if I would characterize it as crazy, but it's just something that I've noted here probably the last couple of days, and I thought it was not so much curious as amusing. So there are three of us here in the house, and my husband and I have our home offices at the opposite ends of the house, and that is very strategic to have them placed that way. And our adult daughter, is here, and so her room is situated kind of halfway in between. And so we come together first thing in the morning, and we'll have breakfast. Somebody's having coffee, somebody else having breakfast, and we may gather at the kitchen table, maybe watch a shared TV show or something. And then it's like, okay, break. Everybody goes to their opposite ends. And then somewhere around the middle of the day, we all kind of wander back in to the kitchen, and whoever's gonna cook starts cooking, and we'll be in there and we'll eat, clean up. And then it's like, okay, break. Everybody goes back. And then later on in the evening, you'll start hearing people kind of nuzzling around in the kitchen looking for snacks and things. So somebody else will come out their room. So we have established kind of this routine around mealtime or TV time. And we are all on the same kind of schedule. So while we are working apart, we kind of come together as a group. So it's been interesting to see how that has evolved.
Finding routines in the midst of all of the upheaval seems to be a key for just having some stability.
Absolutely.
In the midst of it all. Well, thank you all for sharing. It's wonderful that we can just have the camaraderie of going through something this unusual together. And even though all of our experiences are different, there's that that shared sense of the upheaval and the disruption, and yet we're finding ways to move forward, to stay grounded in the midst of that. And I'm looking forward to our conversation today. Susanna and I have a few strategies we want to share with you, but also we really want this just to be an open dialogue where we can all learn from each other in how we navigate things like this personally, but also what are effective ways that you work with your clients as well in the midst of the heavy pressure that they're facing. So it's a privilege for me to get to collaborate with my colleague Susanna Clavello on this. She's a PowerPoint whiz and so many things. So we had fun putting today together. And do you want to go to the next slide, Susanna, and just tell us briefly what's on the radar for ICF San Antonio?
Absolutely. So we're very excited because we're launching, we have already launched our campaign called 100 coaching sessions in 100 days. And we invite everyone that's an ICF San Antonio member to participate in this. And basically all you need to do is go to our website and edit your profile. If you have not done so already, there is a little drop-down menu now that says, I want to participate in the 100 sessions in 100 days. And once you do that, your profile will be updated. And people in our community who are in need of support through coaching will be directed to our website, and they will search for coaches on the list of coaches. They may select you and contact you directly. And so what we're asking in return is that you offer 3 30-minute coaching sessions to 2 or more people that have contacted you. Who knows, it may be the beginning of a great coaching relationship, or it may just be, some great support for 3 sessions. And so we encourage you to sign up for that if you have not already done so. And the next slide is a reminder of what's going to happen next week, International Coaching Week 2020. The theme is living and working in times of transition, and we have 5 events for you to register for. We have 4 webinars, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, on different topics, as well as a panel discussion, which is our signature event on Wednesday, May 6th at noon. You can go to our website and register for each individual session, or you can sign up for all of them and save some money. And we have some great content, really amazing content. So I hope you will join us next week and take advantage of these opportunities. Carissa?
Yeah, coaches all around the world will be participating in International Coaching Week. So it's a great way to really build the awareness of what we do in the community as well. So we're excited about the different businesses and organizations that will be represented at the panel, but in all of the events. And really one of our goals as a chapter is to be reaching businesses so that we can provide support to them, but also we want to be increasing your visibility as coaches in the community. So if you know of people that have been laid off or furloughed, or organizations that would benefit from coaching, feel free to pass on the information to them about the 100 days initiative, and they can they could get free coaching for all of their furloughed workers, or for executives that are navigating decisions and things. So we want to provide the benefit of coaching to as many people as possible, especially during this this time. So yeah, excited about the momentum on both of those things. But let's turn the corner here and really dive into our focus for today, which is on how do we thrive in times of pressure. Certainly where we're at right now is unusual in all of the uncertainty, but the fact is there's pressure going on in life all the time. So I want to take just a couple moments here as we lay the foundation for our conversation, just to become aware ourselves of where am I at right now. So let's all just you can close your eyes if you want to, but just take a deep breath and feel the breath coming in and coming out. And take another breath. And as you listen to the sound of your breath, just be aware what's going on in your body right now. What's your body saying to you? You can put your feet on the floor and just press lightly into the floor. And as you take a breath, what are the emotions that you're sensing right now? Tuning out everything that's going on externally and just listening. And take another deep breath and come back to this moment right here. What are you hearing as you listen to your body? For me, it was noisy at first. I realized how many conversations I had going in the back of my mind, and coming to a place of just being still. And it's all okay.
To me, Carissa, it was going from a moment where I had so many things on my to-do list to think about and feeling, I fell behind. Now I need to catch up. I need to perform. I need to deliver. To being in a place where I'm just grateful.
Grateful is a place of having enough.
Grateful is a place for saying, wow, if I am really sick, I mean, I am infected, like I said, okay, thank goodness, I'm in a great place to be. Thankful for the beautiful weather over here. I'm thankful for this moment. I'm thankful for all the things that are going on in my life, right? So shifting that energy to a place of harmony and stillness and peace.
The gratitude just has a warm sense to it. Just like you're sitting in the sunshine.
Anybody else?
I felt my eyes. My eyes have been very, very tired because of the pain in my ear. And my eyes were saying, thank you for resting. And then I heard the beautiful birds in Susanna's background, just chirping away with a lot of harmony and joy. But then I felt like my spirit was going up into the stratosphere, because I have had many dreams where I'm up in the stratosphere, like an astronaut looking down. And so that's where I was heading.
Floating above it all. Isn't that the perspective we want to have as we look at life? We're not under it, we're over it. Is there one more person that would like to share? And if not, that's okay too. We just wanted to provide space um, to connect to what's going on. Sometimes we don't take space.
For me, unlike you women that can just go into both parts of your brain at the same time, guys have the wonderful nothing box that we can go to, but the longer that the silence is, the more that you can start picking up on other things like the beat of your heart, the actual breath going in and out of your nose and mouth, and the sense of your muscles starting to relax, and staring at computers, just automatically, when you're trying to get things done, there's a certain amount of tension there to keep things going. But it's just nice to relax. Go to the nothing box.
I like that visual, the nothing box. I feel the weightlessness of it, to just be there. Well, taking this time to connect with where we're at really sets the stage for our conversation today. We want to look at how we respond in times of pressure. And if you want to go to the next slide, Susanna. Susanna had this beautiful quote, no pressure, no diamonds. And we can respond to pressure in so many different ways. And I mean, when you hear the question, is pressure all bad? What comes to mind for you?
Is pressure bad? Is that what you said, Carissa?
Is pressure bad? Because when I hear the word pressure, I feel like internally I almost have a reaction of like, no, I don't want that.
There's good and there's bad pressure in my mind. There's the self-imposed pressure, and there's, the psychologists call it the internal and external locus. And so the pressure could be something that we are internalizing as pressure. And sometimes that can look like, coming from a place of fear or faith. And then that external pressure that could be coming from a place of fear or faith. So being able to discern the two is critical, because it allows us to reconcile what's important to us. So the question you asked at the very beginning, what's the craziest thing that's happened since the pandemic? My thought was having to re-engage the relationship with my adult children. It's different. You don't have to monitor them. They're self-directed. But the internal pressure is it enough in terms of how I am engaging, right? The internal pressure of the values of, am I being the mom that is being present at all times? And sometimes that's good, because you are, or at least for me, I'm looking at, well, who is it? What's the kind of mom I want to be? And sometimes having that kind of pressure of walking upstairs and remaining present and sitting on the bed and just listening is good. But then the external pressure of, well, I could be using this time to work, will sometimes rear its head, right? And then there's that conflict. So again, understanding in my mind where that pressure comes from and how they align with my values, I think is important.
I would agree that point about discernment is very, very important. You know, pressure can also be very motivating. When you know where you're coming from and what really gets you going toward a goal, it can be motivating for you as well. But you really do have to filter through that. Why am I doing this? What am I afraid of? Am I doing this because I'm running away from something, or am I running to something? Yeah. And that whole dynamic, Aurora, about, you know, are you being the right mother? It's huge. It's huge. Our adult daughter is here, and we have our adult son and daughter-in-law and grandson in town. And I have to continually remind myself, I am no longer the manager. I am their consultant. No longer the manager, their consultant. But they need managing. Nope. I am consulting.
That's really powerful, the concept of, you know, pressure is pushing us to something, and really being aware of what is it pushing me to, and it's really our response to it that then makes that pressure either into a, you know, catalyst of growth, or a an energy drain. What it's pushing us to.
You know, there's another analogy here that came to my mind, and that is wind. Wind has an enormous amount of pressure, especially when you're out on the sea. So the sails will catch the wind, and that's tremendous pressure that you need in order to harness. And I think that's the key word here, is how are you harnessing that pressure in order to take you in the direction that you're seeking? Because sometimes we don't know how to harness the sails in our life, and we can get driven off course, versus learning how to really navigate the pressures really well, so that we can move into a general direction that we're seeking. That was an analogy that came to me, and the others with eagles or birds. You know, whether I'm around a lot of turkey, vultures, and there's a lot of wind because I live in a valley, and I could see them, how they pivot their wings, and they just start getting this lift. So when I think about that, it's like, where in my life am I feeling that pressure where I need to press into the wind so that I can move, whether it's my coaching to another level, or whether it is my relationships to another level, or whether it is my work to another level. What is it that I currently know and feel? I feel the wind, I feel the atmosphere that's beginning to shift, especially as we begin to re-enter into, you know, an open market, especially here in Texas. It's like, where is the opportunity where people, I can continually serve people with my gifts and my talents, and how can I build that plan, which is going to be pressure because it's something I haven't done before. And so I can keep going, but those are some thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Harnessing the pressure, that's such a powerful analogy, because yeah, the pressure is going to be pushing us. How are we going to respond? And that leads us beautifully into our discussion question here. And this is really for us as individuals. What are your approaches for reframing, even harnessing pressure? It could be a practice you have, a tool, a question. What helps you get out of the fight, flight, fear mode and into the place where you're really harnessing pressure? And I'll throw one of mine on the table. It was kind of alluded to earlier with what Aurora said, but just asking myself curiously, where is this pressure coming from? Because if that's identified, it really guides me. Maybe it's pressure I'm putting on myself of, oh, I have so much to do, and the deadlines are looming, I don't have enough resources, and that I'm creating this self-imposed pressure of all of this weight. And if that's the case, then the answer really is an internal one of how can I give myself space and compassion in the midst of this? And if the pressure is coming externally from a situation or another person, then it's how am I going to navigate that and engage? But I can still be at peace because the pressure is really internally controlled rather than externally. So that's just one question I like to ask myself. Where is this pressure coming from?
I do that as well. Yeah.
I just wanted to share my approach with everyone. And so mine is not losing sight of my end goal, right? Why am I doing this? What is my purpose? What is my goal? What's my vision for all of this? And so if I have that vision very present all the time, that keeps me on track. Versus falling apart or feeling overwhelmed totally. If I have a goal in mind, that keeps me motivated, excited about what I want to accomplish.
I have a lot of dreams too, a lot of dreams. And so for me, writing and journaling those dreams and those thoughts, those ideas, they're really powerful, especially when I slow my brain down to ask myself those questions. And it really is powerful. I love mind maps. So I'll sometimes just doodle out a thought, and because I am an extrovert, and so I think out loud. Wish I had more of the introvert tendencies. Sometimes I do, but that helps to reframe, like, what are the dreams that I'm having? What am I feeling about that dream? Where am I at currently? And then going back and saying, well, how do I harness this and move it into the direction that it needs to move with a strength that I have. And so I don't always do it, but when I'm under tremendous amount of pressure, I will ask those questions and go into a lot of insights, developing those insights.
Strategizing, letting the creativity flow.
For me, I do one of a couple of things. I'll either approach a pressure or a struggle from the viewpoint of what can I learn from it, and and how can I grow? Because we grow through struggle. It'd be nice if we didn't. It'd be nice if there was an easy way around that. But character grows through struggle and pressure. Patience grows through struggle and pressure. Building character and integrity is built and matured through the struggles of life. So if we rush too quickly to get out of it, we could be robbing ourselves from learning what we need to at that time to become more mature and in a position to help those around us that may be going through the same thing in the future.
How can I grow reframes everything as a launching pad.
So Carissa, this is Rachel. So along those lines too, what John just said, going through things like that really helps to grow that empathy. And as you work with people, and you're of course going to come across individuals who have had similar struggles. I mean, I think it really helps to connect and build that relationship because you have that empathy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't it interesting how having compassion for ourselves actually enables us to connect better with others? We tend to think, oh, I need to be, compassionate towards, people and what they're wrestling with, which is true, but really it flows out of our deep compassion and empathy for ourselves.
Yeah, this is Melissa. One of the things that I was going to tag right on to that with was, I'm really good about giving other people grace, but I don't necessarily give myself grace. And so one of the things that I really try to take a look at is I'm a very type A personality as well. So is the pressure really coming from me or is it coming from someone else? And then, there are days we just can't get it all done. And so you just have to give yourself some grace and prioritize the pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Giving ourselves grace is so important. And all of these approaches that we take personally for reframing pressure really equip us as we engage with clients, because they're coming with their different situations, and we get to enter into that world with them and help them create a perspective and a momentum that helps them navigate it. So let's take it to that level and talk about, oh, I got ahead of myself, Susanna. I couldn't remember what the next slide was. I was jumping ahead to clients already. what Melissa was saying really ties into this. Giving ourselves grace provides that space to take care of ourselves in times of pressure. If the grace isn't there, then we're going to, at least for me, still have that saboteur voice of, you need to, do more. Why aren't you pushing forward? You should be stronger. And it just can become this taskmaster. And so that self-compassion is really key here. And recognizing that the pressure is real. I mean, we talked a little bit about, the reframing strategies. We're seeing that it's a growth opportunity. And we recognize that pressure has many benefits, but it isn't a denial that the pressure is real. And, that's important to still acknowledge, yes, this pressure is here. So how am I going to take care of myself in the context of this pressure, especially when we don't know how long it will last, right? A little popcorn here, because I do want to get to our next question. What's your top of mind favorite self-care technique?
I go into worship. That's number one for me. I turn on worship music, and that really starts to usher in a peace and a joy for me personally. And then also a lot of meditation. I go into reading, a Bible study, definitely in the Word. That's it for me. Number one.
I'll do two things. One, I can be very, very, very mean to myself. So that self-compassion piece is something that I struggle with quite often. And so when I'm under pressure, it's even worse. And so one of the two things that I do is I'll get up and I'll put on my walking shoes and I'll go take a walk. It's something about breaking a sweat. I may still have those things going on in my mind, but it's something about engaging my body and being active in something. And I mean, these are hard walks, uphill kinds of walks, and they tend to calm me. The other thing that I do is is counterintuitive to me, but it has worked certainly here in the near term. I'm a very introverted processor. So I'm usually managing all of my own stuff. My husband is a raging extrovert and this big picture thinker. I mean, he can just see stuff. He's really good about that. So I'll pick up and I'll walk across the house. I told y'all that this was strategic. I'll walk across the house and I'll plop down in one of his chairs and he'll turn around and say, "Okay, what's up?" And I'll lay it all out there to him. And when I say it's counterintuitive for me, is because he's very blunt about things. And he will say, "Okay, you have done this. This is what you've done. This is what you've done. This shouldn't be bothering you this way. You've already hit these points. We talked about this last week." It's all of those kinds of pieces. It is, and it's painful. But he brings me to a place in a very short time of looking at, you've already accomplished these things. You have already accomplished these things. And so he calls it, he says, "Okay, I patched you up, go back into battle." So those are the two things that are currently working for me.
Connecting relationally is such a powerful way of diffusing whatever's going on internally. Yeah, one more strategy.
Well, one thing that I do, I mean, I like to cycle, so I ride my bike. But when I do that, I try to be, I just try to make my mind be still. It's very similar to Aurora, what she was saying about putting on some worship music, but just really being still, having a little prayer or meditation. And then if I still can't get over it, I get on my bicycle and I ride because that really does just, it's very calming for me.
Mm-hmm. Get those endorphins flowing, the oxytocin and dopamine, all of those feel good chemicals. Well, I'm getting some good ideas. It's nice to get different strategies or be re-reminded of, oh, why have I stopped doing that when it would really be helpful. So let's take it to the client conversation here. We've probably had a few conversations lately with people that are facing some pressure. How do you help your clients get from that pressured space to being able to be at ease? I'll share a couple of things come to mind here. One is just entering their world with them. I mean, we're trained to do that as coaches with coaching presence, to really be empathetically listening, but there's something about validating their frustration or overwhelm or whatever the experience is, that it normalizes their experience. Like, you know, I'm not the only one feeling like the weight of the world is on my shoulders, but it, even from a neuroscience perspective, it literally kind of frees the brain up from that frenzy inside of, okay, my experience has been validated, now I can move forward and, you know, think creatively and, you know, courageously about how I want to navigate this. So connecting with the emotions is important.
Carissa, I would have to say, because I've been working with a couple of our clients, and I go straight to observation and then move into intuition pretty quickly, and then direct questions. Very pointed, direct questions. And they really appreciate that because they're learning so much about themselves. And so it's almost like taking their car keys away and saying, you're not going anywhere until we really address where you're headed. But you can't head in that direction. I always say, when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, there's probably others out there too. We have to halt. We got to stop. We got to shut it down. And we got to get to the core of where their energy is resonating. So observation, intuition, and then direct question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, observation can be powerful, that it's like they get to see themselves in the mirror for the first time, what really is going on. What's an example of a direct question you might ask?
There was a client about 2 weeks ago, and she was a new mother. And she was trying to complete this program, learning program. And so we were supposed to be talking about setting the goals for the next quarter. And we were online, the video, and you could just see her body, you could see the tension in her shoulders. And I always allow them to open up, and her tone of voice was rapid fire. I mean, rapid. And it was just talking about the things that she wanted to, she knew what we were meeting on. And so a direct question that I asked her, well, first I made the observation, and then I said, I have something coming up for me. Can I share this with you? Yes. And I said, I don't think we need to be talking about goals, because there are issues that are affecting you right now that if you're open to it, we could address. And she put her shoulders down and she was like, yes. And now I've been working with this client for some time, and I said, what's coming up for me is that you're very unsatisfied with where you are in your life right now. And she said, yes. And then I made some other observations by asking a very direct question. And I said, what's coming up for me is that you're dealing with guilt. And that opened up the floodgate. And we had breakthrough. We had breakthrough in that day. So totally shifted the way that she looked at her work, totally shifted the way that she was looking at herself as a new mother. And we were able to address what was most important to her. So it was powerful.
Yeah. The power of going to the root of the pressure.
I wanted to share, how I handled a situation yesterday with a client of mine who was also under pressure. A lot of times, in her case, it's pressure that she puts on herself. And she lives a lot of the time in victim mode. And so the tool that I used was practicing acceptance. And so it's accepting the reality of her situation, accepting of the fact that, things may not have worked out the way she planned them. Things haven't happened in her life the way they should be. But just accepting the reality of her situation so that she can let go of that victim mode and look at what's going to come next and put all of her energy and effort into what's coming next versus, some things that she can't do anything about.
It's that learn, be, do model, isn't it? Learning, where you're at, and identifying who you want to be, and then taking action on it, doing it, right?
Yeah. And we get there, and then she defaults back to victim, and so we're working on that strategy right now.
We're all in ongoing growth mode. One more strategy. Is there anyone else who wants to share an approach that they've used? I'll just throw in the idea of positive emotions. There's a lot of research in the realm of the neuroscience and the positive psychology that we can literally rewire our brain by connecting with those positive emotions, you know, like Aurora mentioned, music, or Susanna, gratitude. I'll ask a client, you know, what do you want to feel in the midst of this pressure? And, you know, they might say at ease or peaceful or whatever it is, but we start creating a little bit of that emotion right there in the coaching session. So it's like they create a Velcro or something sticky that they can identify, what does this peaceful feeling feel like? And then they can go back to it, you know, recurringly when they're in pressure. And at first, it's a lot like Susanna's client. The flip-flop is almost moment to moment of, I'm peaceful, I'm pressured, I'm peaceful, I'm pressured. But the more we refocus our brain to go to the peace or the joy or whatever, we're able to maintain that for longer periods of time. And then it becomes the dominant soundtrack rather than the crazy pressure. So that's one tool I like to use with clients. So as we land our plane here, we've been through all sorts of adventures here in this conversation. What is one thing that you want to implement either personally or with clients? And you can either share it in the chat or yeah, jump on and share it verbally. But what's your takeaway?
You know, Susanna mentioned reminding herself when she goes through these times of your purpose. And that is where I have been. And sometimes when the answers aren't clear, what is clear is what I mentioned earlier, and that is the different roles that I play in my life. And so I think that is a reminder for me to stay focused on, well, of course, my purpose is a wife, is a mother, is a friend, is a colleague, and just really being explicit about who I am in those different roles. So it's a great takeaway, reminder.
I think I would jump right onto that same sentiment, returning to that foundation of the purpose when I get stuck. Okay, what about this situation is speaking to me in a purposeful way? Is it connected to my purpose? Is it an extension? Is it a way for me to be implementing my purpose in the world? Yeah, I think that's going to be huge for me.
I guess one takeaway for me is the reminder that even though sometimes we cannot see it at the moment, the belief that we're exactly where we need to be in our lives. And so there's a purpose for each moment, each experience that we're going through, because we come to this world to learn, and it's a learning, growing experience that's right in front of us. And I love the analogy of the wind as pressure. And how can we harness that pressure to take us where we need to go next? Love it, Aurora.
Well, I guess
This is Rachel. I was going to say, I think something that was brought up that's very timely is, you know, the reality of the situation, especially with with everything that's going on. I'm sure everyone that we've talked to, the current situation is weighing on people in addition to what issues they were already or challenges they were already having. So the reality of the situation and focusing on what comes next, I think is an important takeaway.
Mm. This is Melissa. When I'm thinking about just all the pressure a lot of folks are under, and including myself, and thinking about the grace, you know, I want to give myself and things, I also think about the way I handle it may look different than the way someone else handles it. And I'm reminded of that phrase that, you know, water levels itself. And so you really have to think about, you know, what it means to me and how I can level myself, you know, and not look myself to someone else and how they got it all together, you know, whatever. So I think that's kind of where the grace comes in as well.
Beautiful. Just the humanity of it all just stands out to me. We each are walking through this as individuals, but we also have the shared humanity of walking through this time together. So thank you all for what you contributed to the conversation. Just a lot of rich nuggets to take away.